Thanks
Good.
for getting with me as usual,
Oh
our
yeah,
usual
yeah, man.
weekly pod.
This is cool, man. It's like therapeutic, and we get to talk sports. What's not to love about that?
Heck yeah! What's big picture for right now? What's going on in the sports world today?
Oh, man. Well, in sports, the biggest news, and we'll dive right into it. It's definitely been the NBA. We'll start there. Jamal
Yeah,
Murray, the Denver Nuggets, shooting guard and star, is now out for the season. Right, 3 weeks away from the playoffs, man.
and
It's
that
a
injury looked pretty gruesome too. I mean, he was not doing well.
Man, it was just it was a weird game. I don't know if I'm sure you saw the highlights of it.
Uh huh.
Because Curry set the record for the
Yeah.
Warriors scoring past Kareem, and it's a sad thing to take away from a night that like is supposed to be celebrated because it's
Hmm.
such a big accomplishment for Curry, and he went off in that game. He scored like 48, I think, in
Yeah.
the first three quarters. It was really
Yeah.
like,
It was unbelievable.
but
I
then it's
mean,
like
I'm a Curry guy. Like that's my modern guy. Like I of all the modern players, like I think investing in Curry makes more sense than even investing in Zion, which Zion numbers are starting to get very, very much like you need to pay attention. Like this is the changing of the guard.
Right. And I just think, let alone whether if it's Zion, yeah, Curry is definitely outside of LeBron is the guy I'd rather own, even over Durant.
Hmm.
Especially
Oh, 100%.
the news that went on with Durant like last week. That just turns me off. I actually sold his rookie card last week that I had. I just it's
Yeah.
just distasteful. But yeah, definitely Curry. Very likable, especially a lot around all the younger people. And when he goes off like yesterday, I mean, that's like it's so fun. It's like watching a video game, man. Literally.
Well, it's interesting because like when I was growing up and playing pickup games, we would shoot a big three and we would yell Jordan.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, what were you guys yelling? You weren't yelling Jordan,
No, it
right?
was. I think, and I wasn't a big
Was
Kobe guy, but it was always people yelling Kobe for sure.
Yeah, it's Kobe. And now if you go to a playground, it's Curry.
Right. Yeah.
Like legit. Like if a kid throws from half court, he's like Curry. Like they're not yelling Jordan. They're not yelling LeBron. Like it's 100% Curry.
Right.
He is the culture.
Yeah. No, definitely. Especially like you said, pop culture. He is the guy. LeBron is the face of the NBA, but Curry's
Yeah.
been the guy that the kids love.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, before we get into Curry talk, let's talk how the Jamal Murray injury really is going to impact the Nuggets.
I mean, what was he averaging a game? Do you have that?
He was averaging, no, and I'll pull it up right now. His averages were a little bit below on what he did in the playoffs because in the playoffs last year he was a monster. But
I know he was a pretty good 3 point threat though, wasn't he? Because I mean, they basically had Jokic underneath and then him that he could kick out to kind of spread the defenses thin. It seemed like every game I watched, it was either Joker has the ball or Murray, and they're setting him up, screen for Murray, and he could just drop threes on you.
yeah, exactly. He definitely he started off the year really slow. I just think people really expected him including myself. I expected him to come off strong. I thought in the
Yeah,
playoffs last year that this guy just took a leap, like Donovan Mitchell
yeah.
leap. But he was averaging 21 points this season. Not bad. 4 assists.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely a big part of their playoff run last
Hmm.
year, and I was going to expect for this year. I mean, that team is pretty deep. They picked up Aaron Gordon too. I don't think they are going to be a shove when it comes to the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to be the powerhouse that I expected them to be now that Murray is out.
I would definitely feel more comfortable if my team drew them first round now. Because
Yeah,
really, I mean, you double team Joker and you're probably okay.
easily. Yeah, I mean, well, Joker's still a big threat with the ball because of his passing ability. But I mean, just taking away Murray from the 3 point line, that's going to be huge. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the Nuggets are definitely going to be in some trouble now because where do you make up that kind of production? Michael Porter Jr., I guess maybe he could step up. That would be interesting. Maybe Aaron
Yeah.
Gordon turns into the guy that a lot of people were expecting. He's still pretty young. I think the guy's 26 years old. So, you know, he could turn into maybe make up some numbers there for Murray. But just missing his presence is going to be huge.
I still feel like he's a post up player and a drive the lane player though. Like he's not going to give you those 3 point production. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Joker's so strong on the offensive boards that he's a threat that if he gets an offensive rebound that he's going to kick it out to Murray for a three. Now that that's gone, those threes become twos.
Yeah, and then just the overall play selection just changes now. I, yeah,
Yep.
they're definitely going to be in, you know, some trouble when it comes to the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I don't see them making a run at all without Murray, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened, you know.
Yeah, and they still, their team is deep though, so that is why I won't count them out just yet. But yeah, losing Murray is definitely huge. Let's talk about what we were just talking about a second ago. Curry, man, passes Kareem yesterday for most points ever for the Golden State Warriors, and now I think he probably owns every record that comes to shooting
Yeah.
for them.
He's such a complete player. And again, we only know the persona that he shows us, but it seems like just a solid dude, man. Good family, NBA family. Seems to have fun with the game, which to me is the most important thing too. Like, I want to see guys having fun. There is a place for your Draymonds and your Andre Drummonds and your KDs and your Kawhis who kind of play with almost like aggressive thugness. They're just out there, they're just mean mugging dudes and cussing at dudes, and there's a place for it, I guess. But I want to see Curry, man. I want to see guys out there having fun.
And I think the thing with Curry is not only the fact that what he gives on and off the court, but just like, I think we kind of take it for granted now. I think 2015, 16, he was kind of on top of the world. I don't think he's ever been a better player than LeBron James. LeBron James is the best player, I think, in the last, just every year going in, I would take LeBron. But Curry's definitely right behind him because of just, you saw it last night, 48 points, 3 quarters. I said that earlier, but it's just, that guy could go off for 10 threes at any point.
Yeah.
And
he can drop 30 on you in a quarter. Like, he's a scary dude.
And he's definitely if we're talking about like this past decade of whose card I want to own, it's definitely Curry.
And if you look at like his finesse on his shot, it is one of the prettiest shots ever. It's to the point where when he releases, he can turn around because he just knows.
That's what he did yesterday. When he scored the 48th point, he literally threw the ball up and he just turned because he already knew it was in it. He was in that much of a zone.
Have you ever, in anything that you do, because this is something I research a lot that kind of gets into a little lifestyle mix here, being in the zone, and being in like the upper echelon of your ability and talent at anything you do, doesn't matter what it is, you feel it, it's palpable.
There's only one other shooter that I've ever felt like that could be in that zone, and that's definitely Ray Allen, who I was a big fan of. I loved Ray Allen. I think he had the purest looking shot ever. Definitely Curry is a better 3-point shooter, I would say. He could just do more. But I think Ray Allen, I think we kind of overlook him now as being I think he's underrated because people think of him as just a 3-point shooter, but that guy was a scorer, especially when his early days, man. In Milwaukee, that guy was just awesome.
Oh yeah,
but
he's kind of a second tier guy in the hobby. You don't really hear about him. Nobody that I know PCs him. Like, no one's out here like, oh man, I hit a Ray Allen auto. Like, it's very odd.
Right. Yeah, and I think his I do like his cards. Like, long term, I would collect some of them and hold on because he is the second greatest 3-point shooter of all time.
It is. I put him in the category almost like a Reggie Miller. Crazy talent, but no one really cares in the hobby.
Yeah.
From a hobby perspective. If you look at stats, Reggie Miller should be a heavily collected guy. Ray Allen should be a heavily collected guy, but they're just really not that much. There's some dudes out there paying big money for their ultra high end, of course, like anything.
Yeah.
But you can buy a Reggie Miller rookie for $20.
Right.
And it's a 1989 card that's hard to find.
That's true. I guess you don't really think about it. Yeah, because also Reggie, another thing is he didn't win a ring, and I think in basketball more than anything, you're always judged on how many rings you have.
Do you think there's any scenario where also because his sister Cheryl Miller was almost considered a greater shooter than him? Even obviously WNBA doesn't translate to NBA stats, but it's almost like he also wasn't even the best player in the family, so like he's never going to attain super hobby value.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I really think it's because he just never. If maybe if they would have tried, to be a little bit more competitive against the '99 2000 Lakers, maybe they would have. But I think they got pretty dominated in that series, and
That was a hell of a team too, though. Like
yeah,
you're
yeah, of
talking about a
course.
pretty stout lineup to go up against.
I mean, Shaq was insane in that series, and
Well, and honestly, on the Pacers, who else did he really have to help him that year? Like, my God, like
Jermaine O'Neal and
Jermaine O'Neal.
Jalen
Yes.
Rose, but
Yeah.
that was it. But yeah, Reggie, great player, and Ray Allen, same thing. Great player. Just like from a card perspective, I would rather own Ray Allen over Reggie. I think
That's fair. That's fair. Did you see the quote that he recently did about if Jordan would have called him to make a super team?
No, I didn't.
He literally said if Jordan would have called to make a super team, because somebody asked him about like these super teams they build every year now, the Nets are assembling, etc. He
Yeah.
said I would have hung up the phone and cussed him out.
I believe it from a time
But I think
back
that's
then.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was back then it was a one-star team, right? I mean, even like the early Bulls, it was Jordan and then the guys that helped Jordan win. It wasn't,
I,
it wasn't a bunch of stars.
I don't think Jordan really had. I mean, Jordan won some tough titles, but I don't think I think what LeBron's done against these other teams and doing it on different teams and just different ways has been harder than what Jordan ever had to accomplish.
If he wins a title this year with the Lakers, coming off the injury, him and AD come back, is he the greatest of all time?
I think he's already the greatest of all time, but yes, I think he's. I do. I just, Jordan had Pippen his whole career. I'm sorry, he did. Pippen.
He had a great number two. Great number two.
People want to, downplay Pippen and say he wasn't great, but the guy still was an all-star. When he was in the MVP talk when Jordan went to baseball, like when he led the Bulls. He was in the MVP talk. I mean, that means something. Pippen was a reliable number two all his career. Then Jordan had Rodman. He had some deep teams, but I'm not discounting anything that Jordan did. He's definitely up there. I mean, he's the face of basketball for the longest time. I just think LeBron is slightly better than them. That's just it. That
Yeah, I also think LeBron has had more talent around him though,
in different ways.
even than
though.
Pippen.
In,
Yeah.
in different ways. I mean, it's still hard to do what LeBron's done. Literally, LeBron took the '07 Cavs, took them to a finals. Beating that Detroit Pistons team, who
That was a tough one.
that was definitely a tough one. He beat them single-handedly. Although he got swept by the Spurs in the finals, no one was beating that Spurs team that year.
Is a healthy AD top 5 in the league?
I mean, yeah, top 10 for sure.
Do you think Pippen was top 5 when it was Jordan and Pippen?
I mean, you could have made the case. I mean, I think the league back then was a little bit more center dominant. And that's the thing is I think LeBron has to play against way tougher competition.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is a tougher game now.
How bad of luck was it that in 2014-15, LeBron is, first year back with the Cavs after leaving the Miami Heat, or maybe it's the 2015 season. He goes into the playoffs. He has a healthy Kyrie and Kevin Love. Then they both get hurt.
Yeah.
Man, it's such bad luck. And then he's going against the first year the Warriors won. He's up 3-2 or 2-1 in the series, and then they lose like 3 straight games. It was just impossible. LeBron and that, it was literally like having the '07 Cavs all over again for him. Deladova, that was like his next best player on the team, man.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
Yeah.
But literally LeBron had them, in competition against that Warriors team. And then the next year, they end up beating that team with the healthy Kyrie and Love. And then the following year, again, more bad luck. KD decides to jump ship and go play with. So it's like, man, LeBron's had some bad luck, and to literally go to different teams and build these, I think that's just far tougher than what Jordan had to deal with.
So if you have to pick right now, who wins the NBA championship this year? Let's put it on record right now. You pick, then I'll pick. Now you don't get to put any caveats in. You don't get to say if LeBron and AD are back. Like just based on the information you have right now, who's your NBA champion if you're picking?
I just still don't think that anyone. I still think LeBron's the best in the world, so I'm going to pick LeBron. I'm just.
I'm going to give a sleeper and say that I think the Suns turn it on and win it all.
I don't think so.
Because we don't know that LeBron's coming back.
I'm going to laugh at you all the way to the bank with that one.
We'll see. Hey, I mean, if I was a wagering enthusiast, I might have got a good price. That's all I'm saying.
I thought you were going to say the Clippers. I think the Clippers have the second best chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vegas agrees with you. I want to see a sleeper team. I want to see the Jazz. I want to see the Suns. Like, I want to see one of these, like, kind of more young, talented. Like, but I'm also a big Booker guy, man. Like, I think Booker is next level.
Wanting to see a sleeper team win, that's great. But we're talking about reality here. And I think in all reality,
if LeBron doesn't come back and AD doesn't come back, the Lakers will not advance.
I think that if they don't come back to form and they get put out, I think you're going to see in the West. I either think you're going to see the Jazz or you're going to see the Clippers. I don't think the Suns are going to be in there. I just don't.
I mean, the Suns handled the Jazz the other day.
Yeah, they did. But you're going to watch. Chris Paul always gets hurt in the playoffs.
I know.
I cannot see him not getting hurt. He's hurt every time. I want Chris Paul to win a ring. It would be fun to see them do it with the Suns. Great for them if they do, but I just don't see it.
I'd love to see Booker catch one too, because I think Booker's top 10 in the league if you actually look at stats.
Oh, for sure, stats. But
he's an impact player.
Yeah, and now he has a team. Now he has a player because they needed Chris Paul to really bring that team together. Because Booker is not there yet. I think how old is Booker? 22, 23.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
He's like, I know he got drafted like when he was like 18 years old. He's 2015 draft, so he's probably.
And they got Cameron Johnson too. I mean, I think Cameron Johnson's probably going to be more of a six man, but I mean, Cam Johnson's a dude.
And Aiden's played in there very well with Chris Paul too. I mean, they definitely have a shot, but I just don't see them winning it. And I think coming out of the East, I think it's just Brooklyn. Giannis.
If they're healthy though.
Giannis.
Brooklyn worries me. Yeah.
So does Milwaukee. Giannis is hurt right now. He has a knee injury. I don't like when big men like him have knee injuries. I just don't. And the same.
No, it's terrifying.
The same thing with the Sixers. We've already seen Embiid go out with the injury. Like, is he going to be able to handle 7-game series back to back? That scares me too. That's why
putting it in. So, like in your field of work now as a personal trainer, I mean, I'm sure you've seen guys get injured. I'm sure you've known people in that field who've had injuries. When you're carrying a frame like an Embiid or a Giannis or even a LeBron, like even those are super athletes, like is the rehab harder on a guy that's going to carry a 250, 260 frame?
Well, for LeBron, he's an alien, so I can't put him in the same category as the other guys. And, I think for someone like Embiid, who's already just had a lot of injuries, Giannis hasn't had a lot of injuries. His body type just scares me because he's just really so skinny. It's like, kind of like a Durant, who's just really tall, lengthy. Like when they get hurt, like that really worries me, especially when it comes to leg injuries. That's just one thing, But Giannis,
even when Zion got hurt, right?
Yeah, and Zion's a big guy. He's like he's a really big guy. So that definitely scares me too. But Zion's proved to be healthy this year, and Giannis, he hasn't had any major injuries yet. And so, I mean, who knows, like, how long this will keep him out. Like I said, I just think those kind of injuries do scare me, especially for, like, an Embiid type. That does scare me for sure.
Do you buy into any of the conspiracy theory that LeBron actually wasn't hurt and that he played up the dramatics of it to take a 3-week or 4-week, whatever it's been, vacation before the playoffs? Because he already knew they were there.
No, LeBron.
There's some people circling that, but I mean, that's just the LeBron haters, probably, right?
I think so. I mean, for the people that really think, for the people that think that, it's really a joke because, first of all, LeBron wanted to win the MVP. I mean, and he was on track to win the MVP. He really, he doesn't have many years left at this level. So I think, this was one of the years that he saw that. He thinks he got cheated last year. I don't think he did. I think he was very close, but wasn't going to win it. The numbers.
Well, let's transition to MVP talk. If he comes back with 3 or 4 weeks left, I guess 3 weeks, and dominates. We're talking, 35 plus points a game, and they put up W's across the board. Is he the MVP?
I mean, some people will surely make the case for it. I don't think so. He's already missed too much time. I
So you
just
think at this point is it a slam dunk for Joker no matter what, barring injury?
I don't think it's a slam dunk for Joker, but I think he's definitely the runaway favorite. And I think now, with Harden being out and Giannis being out, I think Donovan Mitchell is the second guy. Going
hmm
back and just looking at everything, I think Donovan Mitchell is the second guy for the MVP. I like
So do you know? Because I actually don't know this. Do they take postseason performance into consideration for MVP, or is it sort of like baseball
no.
where they
They
award before?
It's a regular season record. Yeah, or it's just
Okay,
a regular
so
season award.
even if Mitchell went on to win a crown and get a ring and put up 45 a game, it's kind of irrelevant. It's what he did in the regular season that they judge it on.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been talk about this always where there should be a playoff MVP, but no, it's definitely a regular season award.
See, I
So
feel like it doesn't make sense for it to be a regular season award personally because
no,
again, what do we care about? We care about wins and losses, right? Like at the end of the day, if you're making your team win, like playoff Rondo should be an MVP, right? He's playoff Rondo. Like if he gets you there,
yeah, I mean he could you could make the case if he has a great playoff run, but it's just different. Over 82 games, like who was the best player in those 82 games, and like rightfully so. We've seen it before where the best player obviously gets put out, and Giannis is a great example of that. He's been put out both times back to back years after winning the MVP. And
I've got a sleeper for you then. If we're saying best player regular season and most impactful
are you talking about for MVP or for playoffs right
for MVP,
now? Who do you
there's
think?
this guy named Zion that seems to be really impactful and is heating up right now.
Yeah, he's heating up right now, but the team is just so inconsistent. I just don't see.
Does it matter though if you're the most valuable player? Can your team still be trash?
No, you see, like the way the writers and stuff see it is how consistent, and some of them do get caught up on hype. I do think they do, but I think that just from start to finish of the season, that team has just lost some weird games, um, and they just haven't been consistent all year.
Do you
So
feel like if he was to average 35 a game from now until the end of the season, though, that you have to kind of look at him?
you
I mean,
would
those are
definitely
big stats.
you would definitely have to look at him, and I think he would definitely get some MVP, like third place votes. But yeah, it's a year that's wide open. So
So who's your pick right now for MVP?
that's Joker. I mean, and Donovan
Yeah.
Mitchell's right behind him.
If
And
Jokic gets injured, if he gets injured before the playoffs, is it still Joker for you, or do you hand it to Mitchell?
I would give it to Mitchell. I mean, for what the Jazz have accomplished, number one seed, he's been amazing. And
hmm
and definitely card talk. His stuff is very underpriced.
Yep.
I love his stuff. I got some of his rookie cards. I go out and buy some Donovan Mitchell cards because I think his stuff is awesome. It's so
I
low.
also think he's more of an offensive player, and to me, I look at Joker more of as a defensive player, just like I look at Giannis as a defensive player. Joker puts up points. He does. I mean, what's he, 26 a game? Like, I mean, he puts up points, but in the same breath, like, I look at that guy as he's my rebound guy that kicks it out. And now he's not going to have Murray to kick it out to. But I don't know. I don't look at Joker and be like, man, there's my offensive juggernaut. But if I look at Donovan Mitchell, I'm like, that's a guy who can drop 45 on you in a real short amount of time.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell, I just think he's made a leap every year, and I like players that make short spurts every year, like just consistently get better. And I think Donovan Mitchell, this will be his third straight year in the playoffs,
hmm
and I really think that this team around him now is kind of clicking on all cylinders. I think that Donovan
Yeah.
Mitchell can make make a deep run into the playoffs. I'm kind of excited. I'm a little biased too because I just wanted to see him do well. But with Joker, I just think the numbers aren't there. I think he's averaging a little bit less than that. I mean, he's just so good with the ball. He sort of
hmm
like as a passing big man. I mean, he kind of reminds you of Duncan, like just where he
Yeah.
just pass the ball and just that ball movement. And he finds the open player. I, but yeah, missing Murray is definitely going to hurt that team, and I think can make them drop a few games for sure.
I don't have the stat, but I think he may lead the league right now in getting his own rebounds, too.
That
There's
that
a
could
piece of me that thinks he gets his own boards more than anyone else right now, also.
I can see that. He's definitely you know one of the top big
He's a
men.
presence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
presence under the basket, right? I mean, he's a dangerous fella if he's within 2 feet of the basket.
Yeah, uh, by any means, because he's just he gets so creative with the ball. Like, like I just think with basketball IQ, that guy
Yeah,
is easily, especially in the next. Imagine 2 or 3 more years under his belt. I mean, that guy's going to be moving around like Dirk, and I'm not saying he's going to be shooting like Dirk, but like how he can be with the ball. But yeah, I mean, man, it's pretty impressive. Let's shift here. Let's go from NBA. Let's talk some baseball.
okay.
Let's
Big sale, huh?
huh?
Big sale in the baseball world.
No,
A-Rod.
actually, well, yeah, A-Rod did make a big purchase, and I guess we could, transition that. He bought the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think 1.5 billion in the contract that he can't move the team. A lot of people are already speculating that he would move the team to Seattle, back to maybe
Yep.
creating the Sonics. That would be interesting. I don't want them to move that team. If any team gets moved, I would want it to be Oklahoma City or something, and just take them back to Seattle, or maybe they start another team, because I think the Minnesota Timberwolves I know they don't have much history. They haven't won a ring or anything like that, but it's such a great city to have a sports team. They've had some history with Kevin Garnett there and all that.
Hmm.
Congratulations to A-Rod. I still don't like him as a baseball player. I mean, cool, you good businessman, I guess. I'm glad he didn't buy.
Apparently very good at the business.
And
Yeah,
I'm
he
glad
seems to do well.
I'm glad he didn't buy the Mets either.
Yeah,
That was the only
yeah. Although honestly, like you guys could use a cash infusion or something, man. Like my God,
that team
buy
is-
a pitcher, buy some relievers, man. Fire everybody and just start over.
Oh my God, that team has been. They missed another game yesterday because of due to weather. So it's like their season has just been thrown so out of whack. The first opening day weekend, COVID with the Nationals, so that was gone. So those 3 games were rescheduled. Then you had 2 rain delay games. It's like we started the other day. Marcus Stroman 2 outs into the game, and then they call the game. They say rain delay, and then it's rescheduled. And then the same with yesterday, just rescheduled. So it's already been like 5 games already this year. We're only 3 weeks into the season.
So when they restart a game 2-0, that's 2-0. Do they or 2-0? Do they start it with that score in that inning, or do they start from scratch?
No, I mean, it was just 2 outs only in the game. It was literally.
Oh,
just
okay. I
2
thought you were
outs.
saying the score was 2-0. Okay.
No, usually like if it has to be past 5 innings
Yeah.
for them to determine. If not, then they would go back and still replay the game as a doubleheader later.
Got it.
But yeah,
But you still feel like the Mets are going to be over 500, though, right?
yeah, I do think that. But before we talk some Mets, we'll finish talking about A-Rod. Do you like this purchase for A-Rod? Do you,
I think honestly, like I'm not a-Rod fan because of the PEDs, but if you take away the PEDs, man, the guy's got a lot of swagger. He played, one of the best teams of all time with him and Jeter on the Yankees. I mean, he was always number 2.
Do you like his cards? Would you have a? I saw one of his rookie upper deck cards selling for about $3,000. PSA 9, PSA 10. That
So I think his 94 Upper Deck SP has always been grossly undervalued, even before any of the PED stuff. Because the thing about A-Rod is, I think, and it plays into it, he's culturally relevant. He's a good-looking dude who played for the Yankees. He dates supermodels. He's on Shark Tank.
yeah.
He just made a $1.5 billion purchase. He dresses slick as can be. Like, again, I think he's culturally relevant. You're going to see him a lot. He just didn't fade out of baseball and then he's gone. Like, that's going to be a guy that's on TV doing analysis. Him and Pete Rose did an analysis of a baseball game one time that I watched. And
Right.
the guy knows baseball, man. At the end of the day, he knows baseball and he knows business. He only dates supermodels and J-Lo. And, I mean, I think he's going to be around. I think he's a guy. Would I pay $3,000 for a PSA 9 SP? No.
Right.
Would I buy a Raw for $15? Probably.
If someone gave me an A-Rod 94 upper deck SP, I would sell it in a heartbeat.
Jeez.
I
Is it just the PEDs or is it just him as a person?
It's the PEDs, man. He lied. He literally just came out and lied. I remember it was 2013 season. Like he remember the whole thing in Miami, or was it in Florida, whatever, with the doctor. I can't remember the whole story, but man, just like that, his second time, just you know, God, he's such a cheater. Like,
So do you feel the same about like Bonds, McGuire, Canseco, like all those dudes? Because I mean, McGuire
no,
stood in front of literally Congress and was like, "I'm not going to answer that question. Sorry, no, I won't answer."
no, I just feel like what they did when they did it in the time, they just didn't know what they were getting themselves into. A-Rod knew what he was doing, and he did it
Oh,
twice.
for sure.
He literally just lied, and he, like I said, he literally got caught, before he, wasn't punished for it, but then literally came back again and just lied about it. Just, yeah, just not a fan of that. Like Robinson Cano, who plays for the Mets, I hope he just, I hope he retires. I just don't want him on the Mets. I hope they cut him. Just eat the money.
Yeah.
It's just another player who's now suspended for a whole year because now this is his second time. Really, just yeah. He said Sosa forget English. Zach Blanchard. No, he's like don't forget to. He said don't forget to include Sammy Sosa in that mix. But
Yeah, you know that happens when you're getting pressed for something that big. I guess suddenly you don't remember. You know.
yeah, I mean just a lot of steroid guys. But anyways, like A-Rod is definitely a guy that I just don't want to own anything, especially for cards. But
So using that as a metric, though, that are you going to feel the same way if eventually the Mets got a Correa?
Yeah, because I don't believe that Correa would. I just think it's different. I would never own I wouldn't own a Correa card. I know I probably said that before, but like looking back at it, I just don't want anything to do with that
Mm-hmm.
kind of card. Like I wouldn't want anything to do with Altuve or George Springer cards. Like,
Yep.
their values will go up. I believe Correa's value is actually going to drop next year when he signs with the new
Well,
team.
and it does seem to me like a lot of collectors and investors have already walked away from those guys, and I think we talked about this before. It's really hard to get them back. Even Bregman. I mean, people look at Bregman and he's kind of like the kid that everybody feels like is a gamer, but man, he's on that cheating team, and if you're a cheater, you're a cheater.
I feel like if that team actually succeeds, like they did last year, they went, they made it to almost the ALCS.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if that team can, go back to the playoffs, I feel like they can probably play their way back, especially if Correa and Bregman just do really well. They're because a lot of people are gonna be like, well, maybe it wasn't the cheating, and I don't think it fully was the cheating. But
That's what sucks. It's like they seem like they're so good.
that's
And
right.
they played so well together that if they wouldn't have cheated, they may have still got the World Series. The problem is you won because you cheated. That's how it's going to be associated forever.
It's
And again, let me ask you this. Is a player taking a PED or an enhancement or HGH, is that on par with what the Astros did?
no, I think
Which is worse?
what the Astros did.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't think they can give Altuve MVP no matter what he does, just because he's going to always have a black mark on him in baseball. Like he could literally have a triple crown season and not win MVP. I don't think that baseball wants to align themselves with Altuve no matter what.
Yeah, if his numbers do stand up to like what he's done in the past, I mean, they would definitely consider him. I think. I don't think they're gonna. I think some of the writers, especially we know baseball writers, they don't like to include anybody into the Hall of Fame. They're very like stiflers. I think they will look past Altuve and probably will give it to somebody else.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see Altuve being able to do it no matter what he does.
Yeah.
I don't care what his production on the field is. He's always going to be looked at as he's part of that little clique of,
Yeah.
nah, you're lucky to have a job.
No, and he was one of those players too. When the cheating happened, he was like, he was just very adamant that they didn't do it. So
Yep.
yeah, and they never said sorry. So that's just very distasteful. And I kind of I'm one to kind of forget what has happened because obviously with the years pass, just kind of forget things. But
Well, and it's also like, I mean, as somebody who's studied a lot of psychology, there is a groupthink issue here. Altuve may have 100% not wanted to do this, but if the entire teams do it, management knows about it, and they're telling you this is what we're doing, and then they justify it where well, it's kind of bush league, but it's not technically cheating. It's not technically, you know what I mean? Like if you're on the team and everyone's on board, even if you're like, man, this seems morally wrong, you're probably going to follow your team, and that's where you're in a bad spot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, but every other team does this." They're always looking for ways to, get an advance in the game. But it's just different. They were literally timing what if you know what's coming at you. It's just I don't care, in real time, and you're doing this day in day out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much evidence against them. And
Well, even if you and I went back in my backyard right now and you said, Ken, I'm going to throw you a slider, or Ken, I'm going to throw you a fastball, I'm going to hit the ball at a better rate knowing what's coming.
right,
Even if it's .01, that .01 may be the difference between me winning or losing.
or the ball's going to hit you in the face at a better rate because my pitching's not very good.
Really? I'd have figured you'd have had a nice like 75, 80 mile an hour.
Nah, probably
Yeah, I was never very good at pitching, but I can hit a softball like 8 miles. It's pretty weird.
Oh yeah, no, softball's fun. That's different.
Yeah, but I've got fat guy strength too.
I could hit a slow pitch softball. Not too bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I don't know the Astros in general. I think they can play their way out of it because I think success, and we saw this with Michael Vick. Michael Vick, he played his way back from the dogfighting. People forgot the Eagles gave him $100 million contract. We even saw George Springer. He just got paid, by the Blue Jays. Kind of forget that.
I'm going to give you a phrase, though, in sports and investing that I think is really important, and it's comma but. And what I mean is, if the Astros win this year, and it's like, hey, man, the Astros won the World Series, comma, but yeah, that's still the team that cheats to win, so who knows what they did this time. There's always going to be that seed of doubt, like, what did you guys do this time?
Yeah. And like I said, from a hobby standpoint, I don't want to touch anything with them because long term, and I like to be patient on card hobby. Like, I mean, we saw the overreaction with Tatis, right? His stuff he dropped. I think when we were kind of talking last week, we thought the injury was much worse, and now he might be back in I think about a month. So.
But see, those are interesting times to, if you believe in Tatis, which I'm going to withhold how I feel about it for the purpose of the conversation, then if you see him drop 30%, go buy everything. Like, have a stash of cash for if you believe in a dude, go buy everything.
You're right.
Like, if you believe LeBron Chromes should be 30,000 for 10s, and right now they're pretty down, buy everything.
Yeah, and then Zach Blanchard brought up he says, yep, winning does help people forget. The Patriots are a great example. Even though Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, the winning does kind of subside that.
Well, I mean, even in sports, like we champion for winners, right? At the end of the day, who got third place in the NL East last year? Do you know? No. I mean, no one cares. If you're not first, you're last. It's so weird because even if they cheat, like, and again, the Patriots, I think, are 100% guilty of a lot of things in the sporting world, and I think other teams do things too. Everybody's looking for a shortcut.
Yeah.
You find that in any aspect of sports or even any aspect of investing. If your buddy called you tomorrow and was like, hey, I think Bitcoin's going to 80K or 80K a coin and I know why, here's my analysis, you might go buy some Bitcoin. That's you got a little edge.
That's true. Yeah. You're going to look at it different even if you're not a believer of it.
Yeah.
There was one player I wanted to talk about because the team's actually doing well is the Cincinnati Reds. You're not a big fan of this player. I am.
Who?
Joey Votto.
Are you talking about the Cincinnati who?
I'm talking about Joey Votto. Man, his stats, he hit a monster home run yesterday, so I kind of want to talk about this player because I believe he's just been so overlooked in the past decade. Guy came into the league, 2007 rookie, batted .321 then. Here, let me give his numbers going all the way to 2018. So 11 years of consistency. So 2008, 297, 2009, 322, 2010, 324, 11, 309, 12, 337. 13, he hit 305. 14, he missed a lot of games. He only batted 225. He only played 47 games that year. 15, 314. 16, 326. 17, 320. 2018, 284. And then 2019, he hit 261. This year, he's only hitting 177. But in that, he's had a one home run this year. He was a monster yesterday. But it just sort of reminds you, wow, man, this guy has been one of the best hitters of this past decade. I know we talk about Pujols and we talk about a lot of these players, but Votto, man, where you at on his? Yeah, you're saying he has no rings. When it comes to baseball, man, rings are different. It's not basketball. Oh God. So for those
you have to understand, he's in the division against my team too.
Yeah, well, we put bias aside here on this show.
I don't. I'm going to tell you now, the Cardinals are the greatest team in the division, and everybody else is garbage. And the Cincinnati Reds like to fight, so they can just go away.
Okay, even if you're a Red Sox fan, you still respected Jeter. You still thought Jeter was okay, but Votto, he's dominated against your team, obviously, because you guys see him all the time. But those numbers stand out. You want to talk about Yachty and all this. Like Yachty, fantastic player. Yes, he's won rings.
100%.
It's so hard to win a ring in baseball. We talked about this before. But Votto, I mean, would you go out and buy one of his cards? Like you look at some of his cards, would you have a rookie?
0 out of 10. 0 out of 10.
You wouldn't want to touch any of his cards.
I actually bought a collection. I bought a store like 4 months ago, and it had like 10 Votto 101 autos, including some like really high-end rookie autos numbered low. And they sold for minimal. I mean, that's the other issue. He has no hobby respect at all. He's a production guy, but he 100% is not loved in this hobby. You can buy a Dynasty, which is $500 a pack,
right?
Patch auto numbered out of 10 with a sick patch for $100.
Yeah, I guess it's just...
He doesn't have any hobby love, but he also plays for a team that doesn't win.
Yeah.
They're not a threat to win the division.
When that team was winning, when they had Johnny Cueto, this was probably like what? When
God,
I remember
like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I remember when it was like the Cardinals, the Cubs, and you guys all won 90 games in 1 year. This is like 2015, I believe. But man, it was an unbelievable year.
Well, I believe every year since 16, my division 100% with the Cardinals. They cannibalize each other so much. We trade wins so much between the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates, the Cardinals. Like it's just, they all trade wins. Usually it's the Pirates getting kicked in the teeth. And it used to be the Reds were our easy wins too.
Yeah.
You know, the Reds have come up, but in the same breath, like the Reds do something very strange. Any young talent they get, they dish off right away. Like if Aquino's good, he'll get dealt. It's real weird.
Yeah, no, and that's true. They will. I mean, I think the Reds are trying to build something here, so I don't think he's going to get dealt right away. You might see like a Lindor situation later where he's in the final year of his deal, and they're like, oh, okay, we need to trade this guy away.
I've just seen it so many times where like somebody shows a flash of greatness with the Reds and then he's gone.
Not Joey Votto.
That's kind of who they keep around, but at the end of the day, is he going to be one of the best players to never win a ring?
Yeah, I do think so. He's been one of the. If you go back and look at the top 20 player or the top 10 players of this last, 20 years, you got to put Votto in there for consistency. I mean, I just laid out 11 years of where you almost batted over 300. Like that's like Chipper Jones. Good. It really is.
What's his WAR? Can you pull up his WAR?
I can pull up his WAR. One moment.
I'm just very curious what his wins above replacement are.
I don't see it here on Baseball Reference. Go look somewhere else. I'll get back to you with that stat. But definitely a player that I like over time. But even the Reds have paid players. They even had Brandon Phillips back in the day. They didn't want to pay Johnny Cueto. They didn't want to pay him. That's why they ended up shipping him off. Forgot where they shipped him off to before he got traded to before he got signed by the Giants.
So Joey Votto's WAR is 60.4.
Yeah, for his career total is 7.6.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's really good. I mean,
Trout's 75.1.
Yeah.
So I mean, his production's there. Here's my question from a card standpoint, because everything that I deal with always comes back to investment and card side.
Right.
What does Votto do to get a bump to where his rookie card doubles?
He has to get
What
traded.
does Votto do?
He has to get traded and go to a team that like the Dodgers and win a ring there. And that's
But as much as the Reds deal dudes, it doesn't seem like he's someone they ever want to part ways with. Like he could end his career there.
well, that's him too though. He said he doesn't want to get traded. I remember this. He's come out a few years ago.
Mhm.
He's like he just wants to stay there. He's a hometown guy, and I totally respect that.
Yeah,
He's gonna be
I
one of
do as
those.
well. It's just investment wise, buy Trout.
Yeah,
Don't buy Joey Votto. Like, what's your benefit?
yeah.
If you're
No,
buying again a big bat that's never going to get a ring, go buy Trout. It's
yeah,
more money, but it's safer.
yeah. Definitely, Trout's the guy that you want to invest in this past decade and going forward.
Well, and let me pitch this to you. Votto's career is going to end at some point. Okay, is Votto 3 years after retirement even discussed anymore, or does he fade away?
I think you're going to have a Chipper Jones like effect. I know Chipper Jones again. He won a World Series. He won one, but
He
for
also played
you,
on a team that was heavily fan loved, whereas I don't believe the Reds have that. The Reds
I
stadium doesn't fill up.
yeah, but I think you will still see respect around baseball. Like even with Chipper, like his stuff, you kind of forgot about him very fast. Even when he retired,
Hmm.
I think that was the '08 season he retired. I mean, God, you forgot about him quick.
He reminds me of a Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah,
Super production,
yeah.
decent player, but who cares? Are you out buying up Bagwell? No. Like,
But will Votto make the Hall of Fame? I do think he does. I
yes,
think he makes
yes,
the Hall of
based
Fame.
on production. Based
And
on production, yes.
making the Baseball Hall of Fame is not easy. Make it. It's not easy. They are definitely the hardest stiflers, which I hope they calm down a little bit. But
Do you think Mattingly should be in the Hall of Fame?
yeah, yes and no. I mean, he's
Really
like the
short
line.
career.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's a
why
really short career. I think he gets in as a manager.
I do. I talk
Like, I
about
think he
this.
will get in. He's just not getting in as a player.
Yeah, no, I think he will get in as a manager. Do we have any other baseball talk to get through? I know we have a.
Um, I'm gonna give my buy of the week. I think if you like Tatis at 30% off market, buy it. I will tell you that I'm not buying any Tatis stuff.
Yeah, I just I think these players are so high right now that it just doesn't
I'll
suit.
tell you my person I would be buying right now because I just think he is kind of creepy in the hobby.
I can't
This
compete.
kid, this kid, literally the kid, I'm telling you, is transcendent. It's been a lot of years since he retired. Griffey is old now, and he is still. If you pull an auto of him like we did this past week, everyone's excited.
Yeah,
He's got, the sweetest swing in baseball. Macklemore, the rapper, made a song about him, which is amazing. If you watch it and don't tear up, I don't believe you. If you love sports and you watch that video, like it'll get you.
and
I just think Griffey stuff is so good, and he is the Jordan of that era from the '90s.
well, he was going to be if he stayed healthy. I mean, definitely
Yeah,
going to be the best. Probably go down to one of the best players in baseball. And he is definitely one of the best players ever to play. But he was the Trout of that era, pretty much.
100%. And he played with such swagger. And again, it goes back to the Curry effect. He looked like he was having fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like guys who have fun. I am an anti-Cubs person because I'm a Cardinal fan. But you know who I really like? Anthony Rizzo, because he plays like he's having a good time.
Yeah.
I like Anthony Rizzo, and I hate that I like him. I wish he was on my team. But I like the guys that have fun, man, and I think that matters. I think in a world of so much just like negativity and social stuff that's going on, we need to see dudes out there smiling.
But that's why a lot of people like. Um, that's why people like Ronald Acuna and Tatis so much. Is that because they look like
Yeah.
Tatis hit a home or not Tatis? Acuna hit a homer the other day. I think it was against the Phillies. And man, it was a monster. The bat flip was awesome. It was just like, but yeah, man, it just looks like he's having so much fun on the field. That's why people dig
Yep.
him so much.
And I think also the Braves already have, especially like guys my age who grew up in the 90s,
Yeah.
we're ingrained to, even if you're not a Braves fan, to be like, man, the Braves, like they used to be the 1, 2, 3 punch. Like they had the best pitching in baseball and some decent bats, and they were a threat every year to win.
Yeah. And yeah, they are definitely one of those teams. Especially it's really interesting now because I don't know if you saw it this past week that MLB had took the All Star game away from them this year or next year,
Yeah.
and now they're going
Yeah.
to, I forget where they're going to reschedule it. I think it's in Minnesota or something, but yeah, because of the whole thing. But if you're a Braves like not only fan base but team, like how do you feel about that in your state after that happened? So
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, that's a super hot button
yeah,
politicized issue, but it gets weird because like all the social stuff is transcending into sports, and that just kind of sucks, man. Because like no different than when COVID was on every station nonstop. I look to sports personally as an escape from that. I don't want to hear about COVID when I turn on a baseball game. I want to just enjoy a baseball game, man. I don't want to hear about social justice issues, and maybe I should check my privilege on that, but I don't want to talk social justice during a sports game. I want to be able to unplug and just enjoy a couple hours of actual competition.
I think there definitely are a lot of people that are with you on that sort of subject because as the world is it's very stressful and we're in a time definitely where we're there like as far as like from a political standpoint and with just social injustice like there's definitely a lot of awareness that's been raised and I think it's great and I think it's great when athletes do speak out. I think especially for a lot of athletes they it's great that they will speak out on it. I just think it's definitely something that they need to realize like how powerful the words they speak are because it could be good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, they have a platform.
Yeah,
What that, and again, I play devil's advocate against myself. The reason I also don't want to hear about those social issues during sports is because those social issues don't really impact me personally. And
yeah,
maybe if I was someone who was impacted by that, I would be like, look, you have to understand this is on my tongue nonstop because it affects me nonstop. It affects me personally living in the Midwest, owning a business, looking like I look. Social issues don't really affect me. If I get pulled over, I feel safe. And I
yeah.
understand that, some of these people have gone through some terrible stuff and there's been a lot of things that have happened that are unexcusable.
Right.
But in the same breath, just like COVID, man, I just want to find something I can watch for 2 hours and not hear about people dying, not hear about people getting shot, not hear about, anything negative. Like I just want some positivity, man.
And
And
that
that's where I
that
look to sports for that.
and I think that's definitely one thing that's in this past year has kind of been forgotten and what people I think why we miss sports so much to begin with it during especially like when everything happened at the beginning of COVID and then everything happened at the beginning with the like what happened with all the stuff that was going on in social justice to begin with sports was definitely missed for a lot
How
of it.
old were you when 9/11 happened?
I was 10 years old.
Okay. Do you remember when baseball came back and the Yankees played and everybody was for a night a Yankee fan?
Yeah.
Giuliani threw the ball out and we all just came together as a country and we put away all the negativity for just a night to just play baseball.
I think and that's a great reference point and I think that I think we need to realize I think like that's what we need in some sports is like for like this to be played for that
Hmm.
and two people so people can gather around and hope but I was like also just two totally different situations as well.
It is. It's just I think we need sports and again, I mean, I have my own political views and everything, but the team camaraderie and it hurts when your team loses.
Yeah,
It feels good when your team wins. And, I'm emphatically patriotic. My family served in the military, big background in that. I want America to win, and I'm on Team America, man. And I just want us all to get to a point where we can watch sports and all just be one people. Like that would be so great. I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime. I'm getting older, but as somebody who has a 4-year-old, man, like I just want to see us come together and quit being so divided.
Yeah,
And I think sports athletes can help us with that.
I do agree with you, and I think what's going on in the country, I think it's you approach this every like 40 to 50 years, and I think it is a good thing that we are, because there are some people that don't want to change their minds on certain point of views that are just very content with how things are and stuff like that, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think there are some people that as we get more modern in America, I think some people do need to modernize their state of mind and realize that there are certain things that shouldn't be the way they are. So I am on
Yeah.
board with that, and I do think that athletes, do help out with that. Like I do think that, and I do think there's certain ways that athletes don't help out with certain things. So I
Yeah.
think there are both sides to the pendulum that really can be positive and or negative. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
100% agree, Zach. Zach, you're hitting the nail on the head. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the camaraderie we all have when, if you're a Cardinal fan and I'm a Cardinal fan, you're instantly my buddy
yeah.
because we have a common thing. And it's sports is the thing that is the common denominator for all of us. I've talked about it before on the pod, but like I grew up super poor and we lived in Gary, Indiana. And, I had a lot of hardships growing up because of, certain issues that, I encountered. But at the end of the day, like when we were out there playing, football or even because we play tackle football in the concrete,
Right.
everybody was equal when we were out there playing. If you could play, you could play. And I was always a fat kid, so give me the ball and I'm just going to run through you on the concrete. But I just feel like sports can unify so much, and these athletes to some degree do need to step up to help bring us together and not be so divisive
Yes.
because there's no benefit to dividing us more. We've already done that over the last 60 years.
Yeah, and I think, and this will be the last point we talk about it, is like, I think that like we just need, like athletes and like other people need to see both sides of this story, and I think what's politically in general is has really shifted one side or the other, and we need to get back to a point to where we see both sides of people's views, and I think that's where that is where we need to come together for sure.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, again,
Yes.
it's all based on your experiences too you've had,
Yeah. Exactly.
so it's just like your bias is going to be there, but we'll see
Well,
what happens. Hopefully it gets better.
yeah, and we'll get back to some card talk. I'm going to pull up my card. You already pulled up your Griffey card. The card that's on my desk for today is
Yeah,
my one of my favorite cards that I have is my Albert Pujols and Ichiro card. It's a Pujols'
nice.
rookie year card. It's not the
Hmm.
Chrome. It's not the Chrome card, but it's still a really fun card. I really enjoy it. It's one of the tops.
I
One of
assume
the,
you know this, but it's also Ichiro's rookie, right? You know that,
yeah,
right?
for his baseball, yeah. Not, but I
Yeah,
mean, I would love to have a top Chrome in that. That'd be awesome to have. 'Cause that thing
yeah,
goes for massive money. But I'm gonna keep that card. I really do like. I think Ichiro is definitely one of the most underlooked players of our this last 20 years. Talking about Joey Votto, but definitely Ichiro. I mean, the hitting
yeah, for
machine.
sure.
I think definitely the best hitter we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think he's up there for sure, and his speed was unbelievable
Yes, yeah, that and
because
just
he was running before he made contact. Like he had such a weird first step.
yeah, man, I love the way he bats. It's just when he hits it, man, it was just so awesome. And when he hit home runs, that was even better because it was so rare for him to
Hmm.
hit home runs. But it was really fun. And and I don't like the Yankees, but when he went to the Yankees, I think it was really fun to kind of watch him in a big market like that
Oh yeah,
because I think people got to see the great side of Ichiro before he actually retired.
yeah. I'm a fan. I think it's and I like anything from '01 because of Pujols. Obviously, that was a big Cardinal rookie, so I'm a fanboy there. I think Pujols stuff's underpriced.
Yeah,
Go look up Pujols. If you go look up Pujols WAR, it's very high. It's
yeah,
very
yeah.
very high.
Yeah, we talked about Pujols a lot, and I think on last week's show. But I think I love that card. I picked up that card this week, so that's why I brought it. That's
Nice.
why I put it on the desk. But yeah, it was a cool card. I found it in someone's like little collection. I was like, oh, cool. I'm gonna definitely send this one off to PSA.
So is right now the part of the show where I get to wax you for some money and sell you some basketball cards?
Yes, sir. You have to wax me for some money, and guys, we're gonna be opening a pack of
Yes.
basketball. And
I'm just gonna hold them up this time. That way we don't have to have the weird angle with all the. We'll just do it right here.
no worries. So what are we
Let's
opening?
go.
What are we opening?
This
Bob?
is 1920 Hoops Premium Stock,
Okay.
which is one of my favorite products of the year. It is the Hoops version of Chrome, essentially.
And what?
Why is that upside down?
Yeah, it's upside down.
You're looking for Zions. You're looking for Jaws. Any of the big rookies. Any kind of silvers or prisms.
You
There's
need
a LeBron.
Yeah, there's a LeBron. You need to back it up a little bit. There you go. Yeah.
There we go. Look at us go. Look at us go. Look at this production quality.
LeBron. Let's
right.
hopefully try to see a Zion auto number to 1.
That would be amazing. Could I just keep it?
Sure.
I wouldn't make you pay for the pack.
It's, upside down.
Let's see. There's a Frank Hollow. You know, Niklinka,
Yeah.
Zach Collins, Jarrett Culver. Nah. But you do have your bonus pack.
Let's see what's in that bonus pack. Here's where we're going to pull that Zion rookie.
Well, we got a KD laser.
And his original
We got a
stance.
John Wall. Yeah, the only photo he's ever taken.
Yeah, exactly.
And a Wendell Carter Jr. So we're just going to burn these because this was terrible.
Yeah, that was an awful pack.
That was the worst pack I've ever seen.
Yeah. Worst pack of
That's
the week,
terrible.
guys. Oh, man.
Yeah, bad pack of the week. Hey, at least you got it out of the way so no one else buys it.
Oh, I know. There you go. That's what I want to do. I want to save your breaks. Send them.
That's what we need. We just need you to buy a personal once a week. Get that bad one out of the way.
Exactly.
Hey, you know it's funny is we did a break already this morning of Contenders football optic, and we had sold some personals today, and they were pretty good. You know, we hit a gold number to 10 autograph Josh Allen. We hit a Jalen Hurts autograph number to 199. But then the last box of the case, we were all excited, thinking, man, it's gonna be like a top 3 quarterback, and it ends up being like the worst box we've ever opened. And I was just like, man, I'm so glad nobody bought that as a personal. Like, when we have a bad box and it costs you $35 to get in, I don't feel super bad because, I mean, that's not that much money to take a shot. But if you spend $500 with me and I just open you up like $6 in cards, I feel terrible. Like, I mean, I know that's the risk. We all take the risk. I mean, I recently got destroyed for $3,000 on an NT break. Like, I mean, I've been there, you know, spend $3K, get 0 cards. I've been there.
Right.
But it's so much better to just take a shot at that high dollar stuff for $35 a spot, man. I think the break side of it is so much better than personals.
Yes, definitely, because how everything is just so expensive right now.
And it's all relative. I mean, if you're a guy that, you know, makes $4K a week and you spend $250 or $500, it's different. If you're a normal guy working for $20 an hour or less, probably don't buy $500 personals. It's a little aggressive. Like, get on a $35 break, come have fun. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at on it.
Right. What is your? Let's get into our lifestyle talk of the week.
Yeah.
And
for me, my lifestyle talk of the week is I think tracking and food journaling is really important.
okay.
I'm starting to do more of that, even though my diet is pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like, as somebody who eats a carnivore diet, if you don't know what that is, I only eat animal products and I don't do dairy. So what that means is basically steaks, burgers, the occasional hot dog, though I'm trying to move away from that. I think the nitrates are messing with me. Chicken wings. I don't fry them, though. I do them in the air fryer.
Okay.
So I'm not eating fried foods or anything breaded like that. Lots of lean meats, elk occasionally. So for me, my lifestyle tip is start writing down at a minimum your macros. You know, that's going to be your calories, your fats, your proteins, your carbs, and see how you feel. Like if you have the extra time, write down what you ate for the day, and then just get a little blurb.
And I have a little practical as well for that. Download an app called MyFitnessPal,
Yep, I use it. It's
And
great.
that's a great way to track all your foods. And they have
A hundred
literally,
percent.
they make it so simple to where you can plug and play to see how many calories and stuff you're adding in there as well.
And it's a good way to track your water intake too,
Yep.
because you can literally just hit a button and it adds that you've had another 8 ounces of water. I'd found the other day because I've been tracking my water. I did 166 ounces, which is heavy, but when you're on a super high protein diet like I am,
Right.
I get a lot of muscle aches, especially in my calves if I don't hydrate well. I'll have muscle spasms. Like it's brutal. Um, but I just think tracking your macros, and I will give you an example just because I literally have it next to me. This was mine from yesterday. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay.
So I don't track carbs because my carb intake is zero right now. I'm doing a thing where I'm taking in zero carbs for about a month. Usually I would take in like 3 to 10. But just to give you an example, every time I ate something, which I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feedings, and that could be a meal or a snack, I just write down for me the calories, the fat, and the protein. Because what I'm trying to do, and again, this is just me, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just somebody who's done this diet for a long time. Um, I really want my calories to be 2,200 or less a day. And again, that's all animal protein calories, so like, and fat calories. So I'm not taking in any empty calories at all. And I want my fat and my protein in a perfect world to be exactly synced at about 175 each. I want 175 grams of fat and I want 175 grams of protein. And if I'm going to deviate at all, I want my protein to be just a little higher. So yesterday totals 2,000 calories on the nose. Total fat was 168 grams. Again, that's all animal protein, all good meats. And total protein was 182. So my protein was a little higher because I did a New York strip instead of a ribeye or a porterhouse. And the New York strip had 91 grams of protein, so that kicked me over a little in protein. But again, I'm at 168 fat with 189. So, I mean, that's 80% fat. And my calories are coming heavily from the fat I'm ingesting.
Right. And what would normally be like your actual, like, before you got on this diet, what would you normally be tracking
So, if we go back years ago, you mean, or you mean right now?
right now before you started the no carbs?
No carbs, it would have been like probably 2,200 calories, 120 fat, probably 150 protein, and like 30 carbs.
Okay, so that gives people a perspective on what you
Yeah.
changed actually from
Yep.
before to now to
I've
actually.
increased the lean meats, and I've also increased I've added bacon, more bacon in, so I'm getting more fat from bacon.
Okay.
Um, I think for me, I feel better when my fat number is really close to my protein number. You don't want to go just straight up lean protein and no fats. You will feel like just absolute crap. I mean, there's just no way to say it. Like, yes, you're eating a carnivore diet, but you will not feel well. You have to get fats in.
Yeah, so you're not
I
putting it in
struggle with
before.
that. Yeah, 100%. That's your energy source now. And I struggle with that because I don't have a gallbladder. I had my gallbladder removed many years ago. So fat digestion for me was really, really hard. I used to be like unable to do 60 grams a day without just being bloated, even to the point of vomiting. Now I can do 170 grams if I do at least that much protein as well.
Okay. Okay. What?
I also find do not eat a huge bomb of fat in one meal. Like I know guys who are carnivore who are beasts and they'll literally eat a big stick of butter and just bite it. Like for me, I don't do that
That
to
just
get my
sounds
fats in. Yeah.
so unhealthy. I mean, in many different ways, and it is in some different ways. Just to get your fat in, that's not. I mean, in my
Yeah, I want
perspective.
most of my fat, if not all of it, to come just from animal sources. Like I
Yeah,
said, I don't do
naturally.
dairy.
Right.
Um, if my
And
fat is lacking and the day is almost over, I will sometimes do a tablespoon of butter just to get a little extra fat in.
yeah,
But even
and
that, I don't really like doing that.
yeah, and my why would you not for the week is why would you not set a small goal that you could set for at the end of the day? Like I failed my small goal yesterday. That was eating all carnivore diet. I had a turkey sandwich without even knowing, man. It was like my natural thing. With my Monday client, I eat like a turkey sandwich because they're nice and generous and they make it for me, and I
Yeah.
love them for that. But it was like my Monday thing. But today I'm setting that goal. That's my small goal for today. Eating a carnivore diet, very much more manageable because I'm just at home most of the day. But even that, it's my goal for the day is I gotta get up and I gotta exercise for 60 minutes. That's another small goal of mine. But start the day with some small goals, some stuff that can be accomplishable, in the morning and in the evening. It's make sure you hit those goals, whether if it's moving, whether if it's finishing your homework, do stuff that is gonna start your week off right. That you could, when it comes to towards the end of the week, especially, whether that's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, however you like to enjoy your days off, just so you have most of that busy stuff done that you could thank yourself for later. And there is one more note before we do finish up here. You wanted to remind me, or to remind you of what is going to happen with vintage here, and then in the coming years.
I am a big proponent of vintage baseball is the best investment in sports cards. It's not as sexy. It's not as easy to double your money on vintage because the price is already so high. The issue becomes, and it's I posed this to you yesterday when we were just bantering. If I said, Brian, I need you to go get me a 1968 Topps Mickey Mantle, and I need it in an hour, where are you going to go? Like, the card shops are all closing up. They're all moving towards breaking because breaking's lucrative. Man, it's just, you could go to eBay and you'll get it in a few days. But the notion of just go get a vintage card is so hard that I feel like it's just going to keep ticking the prices up. And the other thing, like the benchmark guys, like your Mantles, your Clementes, your Mays, your Aaron, the guys that from the 50s that we kind of identify as the greats, Ted Williams, Stan Musial to a degree, they get put in PCs.
And exactly.
They're not available anymore.
And that is what's going to, I think, end up, like you said, driving those prices more to be where they are. And I think it's not only for vintage baseball, but I think it's to be for even some vintage football and some vintage basketball too.
Vintage basketball is starting to see some I think, record sales, especially like the Bill Russell rookie, et cetera.
Right.
But and the Bird Magic's finally getting the respect it deserves. But vintage football has never taken off. You can still buy a Jerry Rice rookie pretty cheap. You can still buy a Unitas for a couple $100 and like a PSA 2.
Yeah, even like the Montana, that draft year, Montana, Elway, Marino rookies, like PSA 9s, you can buy one for like $400 or $500.
Yeah. And I mean, you can go to card shows and find those raw.
Yeah.
Like I was at a card show a couple weeks ago and there was raw Montanas out there for $80.
Wow. That's a really good deal. Jesus.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago. You could buy Jerry Rice's for $25. They're a little more now.
Right.
But you can find a Rice for $60-$70 at a card show.
Yeah, I think now they're definitely catching on. I think in a few years those are going to be probably some hot ticket items for sure.
Well, and also with raw cards not being able to be subbed right now,
yeah,
I think to a degree you're going to see raw prices drop a little bit because it's less exciting to buy a raw card because now you've got to sit on it for 3 months before slabbing.
I think that's for some people. I think is also it can go up in other ways too because all you can do is buy raw, especially
if it's the only thing on the market, there's that too, right?
Exactly. I mean, we see
some of these. As an investor, I'm less likely to buy right now. All right, prime example. If I do a break today, because the break I have up now does have Prism in it, 2021, and we hit a LaMelo silver,
right?
And whoever hits it messages me and like, hey, Ken, we hit that LaMelo. I don't really care about basketball. I was in it for, just the chase, whatever. What will you pay me for this LaMelo silver? In the current state of PSA, my offer is less than it would have been if I could just sub it one day and get it back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just, it's definitely going to be, for me, as someone who invests in cards a bit, I'm less likely to buy a really high-end modern raw card, but I'm probably more likely to buy a vintage baseball card right now.
You're right. Yeah, and vintage baseball all the way. It's like, it's just gone up over years. Yeah, and it's going to take you a while, but who cares? Sit on the cards. Be patient.
Well, and I can tell you that when I lost $38,000 on Jarrett Stidham, I gained $100K on Mantle in the same time period.
Exactly.
So it's like, for me, it's almost like a hedge against taking risky shots.
Exactly.
So, for example, if I went out today, Bitcoin hit a high today. If I go out today and put 100K in Bitcoin, but I also went out and put 200K in Manals, I may have just hedged against if Bitcoin goes back to 30.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
those Manals are, even if the hobby just slowly goes down, a little bit, you're still going to see those peak on those Manals.
I still believe, and again, it's easy to say this when you have a vested interest. I believe that the hobby is still very much in its infancy of what this is going to be.
Yeah, it's
Because
it's
again,
really,
I see my breaks filling so fast. I see new people all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, you do cards?" Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, I used to collect. I want to get back in. What do I do?
yeah, and then tell people what you do. We're going to wrap up here pretty shortly. Tell people where
Yeah,
they can
right
find
on.
you.
So if you go to Facebook, you type in the Card Shop Evansville. We run breaks every single day, 7 days a week, no days off. Um, we usually start in the morning putting up breaks. As soon as one fills, we put another one up. And I usually go pretty hard from 10 a.m. Central to about midnight. I do that 7 days a week, except Sunday. I do take a little time off for the fam, usually end around 7 p.m. But we run baseball, basketball, football. We run combo breaks. The claim to fame we have that kind of got us on the map is we do a lot of retail and hobby, which allows us to do $35 a spot breaks instead of these crazy high $250 a spot, $300 a spot that the big boys do. We don't want to be the big boys. We want to be the common man that can. Everybody's got $35 if you want to be in this hobby. Come join a break. All hardship. We want to cater to the new people. And my inbox is always open. I probably get 70 messages a day, people asking card questions. I answer all of them myself. 20 plus years in the business. Yeah. 20 plus years of doing this. I've got a wealth of information. I share it freely.
Ken, thanks so much for your time. Like always, brother. See you next Tuesday. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, A Rocky Start. This episode will be going up a little bit later as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys back next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you, guys.
All right, man.
All right,
Have a good one.
Until next time, brother.